I stood at the edge of the barren lot, the sun casting long shadows across the cracked asphalt. The air was thick with dust and echoes of laughter mockery that had lingered like a heavy fog since I was a child. "You'll never make it as a botanist, Eliza. It's a ridiculous dream," they'd said, my own family, the ones who were supposed to believe in me. Laughter erupted around our dinner table every time I dared to bring up my passion for urban ecological restoration. "Hippie fad," they'd scoffed. That night in the Institute's conference room, my heart racing, palms clammy, I had presented my groundbreaking research on plant-based soil regeneration, believing it would ignite a spark of interest among the esteemed scientists. Instead, I was met with cold, dismissive stares and the chilling verdict, "Pseudoscience." The words felt like a knife to the gut, and they cut deeper because they echoed the sentiments of lead family. I had walked out that evening, leaving my dreams in tatters, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. I ventured into guerrilla gardening, armed with nothing but my knowledge, a handful of seeds, and an unyielding belief that I could mend the earth and maybe in the process heal myself. I spent countless nights in neglected corners of the city, transforming blighted patches into vibrant ecosystems. While the world called it a hobby, I felt it was my sacred rebellion against the voices that had once derided me. Years passed. I poured my heart and soul into countless projects, turning vacant lots into flourishing gardens, revitalizing neighborhoods, and breathing life into forgotten urban spaces. The laughter faded, replaced by the rustling leaves and blooming petals, like a soft promise that whispered, "You are enough." My work drew attention. I was featured in local publications, and soon I stood on stages, sharing my vision with crowds who believed in the power of nature. But the scars of rejection never fully healed. Each success was a bittersweet reminder of that night when I was dismissed, the laughter still echoing in the corners of my mind. Yet, when I received the prestigious Urban Green Award, I realized it was time to return home, not just to show my family the success they never thought I would achieve, but to demonstrate the impact of my work on the community that had once been a backdrop to their ridicule. As I pulled into the familiar driveway, my heart raced. The ivy had found its way up the trellis, a stubborn reminder of the beauty that could reclaim even the most neglected places. Standing on the doorstep, I hesitated, memories flooding back of the words they'd said. But I had more than just dreams to show them now. I had tangible proof of not only my journey, but of the change I'd brought to my city. "Mom? Dad?" I called, stepping into the living room. My mom looked up, her brow furrowing as confusion danced across her features. My father peered over his newspaper, his expression shifting from annoyance to disbelief. "Eliza, is that really you?" I stood there, an award glinting in my hands, and the air thickened with a mix of pride and apprehension. "I'm not here to gloat," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I want you to see what I've done." They exchanged glances, skepticism still etched in their faces. But I pressed on, inviting them to join me on a tour of the revitalized parts of the city. The areas that had once been nothing more than desolate ground, but now flourished with life. "Why would we want to see your crazy gardens?" my dad muttered. But I could sense a flicker of curiosity peeking through his harsh exterior. We drove through the streets, the hum of the city swirling around us. I showed them the community garden, where I had taught children to plant seeds and nurture life. I watched their expressions shift from indifference to astonishment as the reality of my accomplishments came into focus. "You did this?" my mom murmured, her voice breaking. "Yes," I affirmed, feeling a swell of pride. "And it's more than just plants. It's about revitalizing the community, giving people hope." This was the purpose behind my so-called hippie fad. As we walked through the gardens, I shared stories of those whose lives had been changed. I spoke about the woman who had opened a bakery thanks to the community space we created, how the neighborhood children now had a place to learn and play, how the air was cleaner and hearts were lighter. And then it happened. A moment so powerful, it shattered the remaining doubts that clung to my parents. We came across a mural that depicted the transformation of the area, before and after images of the land, juxtaposed with faces filled with joy and hope. My parents stood transfixed, tears glimmering in their eyes as they took in the names of every volunteer and community member etched onto the wall. "I didn't believe you could do it," my dad admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "I was wrong." "We were wrong," my mom added, her hand reaching to squeeze mine. In that moment, I felt the weight of years of derision crumble into dust. Their acceptance was healing, a balm I hadn't known I needed. Returning home, I no longer felt like the failure they had labeled me. I stood tall, not just as their daughter, but as someone who had transformed lives and landscapes alike. This was my legacy. Proof that sometimes the most ridiculous dreams can bloom into the most beautiful realities. Life is about growth, not just for the earth, but for the spirit. And as for my family, they learned that sometimes the most profound lessons come from embracing the wildness of our passions, no matter how unconventional they may seem.